Hello, reading friends. It's Mrs. Davis from Happy Place to Grow, and I am here in my reading corner, all cuddled up and surrounded by lots of great stories from our friend, author, and illustrator, Jan Brett. She's a friend because anyone who writes great stories for kids, I think, must be pretty friendly. So I'm calling him a friend. I am so glad you are joining me again. We have read some really cute stories. The gingerbread baby, that was a cute one. Mischievous little character, gingerbread friends. And then, most recently, you have probably enjoyed listening to The Mitten and The Hat, which is such a cute story introducing us to Hedgie. And I remember reading that Jan Brett actually did have a hedgehog at her house at one time. She loved to get familiar with her books and her characters. She would create gingerbread cookies. She would travel and find out about the local lands and cultures so that she could really, even though she's writing fiction, she could make that fiction come to life and be realistic, even though it was make-believe. So I'm sure that's probably why she got Hedgie, her hedgehog, that lived with her. And she could get really familiar, and she created this cute little character, which was so adorable in the story, The Hat. If you've not checked that book out, you've got to. It's so cute. It's definitely one that will build your self-confidence. I thought it would be fun today to think about Hedgie in a different way. We are going to read another Hedgie-centered story, but today I thought it would be fun for us to take a little reading detour. We're going to read a short book, and then I thought it would be fun because I know one of Jan's strengths was to do illustrations. And so I found this from a Scholastic News that I kept when I was teaching, and it was How to Draw a Hedgehog by Jan Brett. She gives us step-by-step information. So I thought that might be fun. We are going to read a quick little story called Hedgie Loves to Read. Look at the details on this hedgehog. You can really get a sense of those prickly prickles and the shape of the face and how it bows in. And I just love the look that Jan gave Hedgie. Very smart and very clever. And in some of his books, he's got to be on his toes for sure. This one says Hedgie Loves to Read by Jan Brett. It's just a quick little reader that she did for Scholastic. I thought it would be fun because we love to read. Hedgie loves to read. And then we'll go into drawing Hedgie. So sit back. Let's start with our reading adventure. And then gather a piece of paper. I always like to use my clipboard. And definitely for this one, you're going to need some pencils, different kinds of pencils. Grab your crayons. I'm going to grab mine over here. Just that's one thing I did not gather. You're going to need some grays and browns for this one for sure. Maybe a little dark charcoal color for Hedgie. He's not very colorful. So in just a minute, you can go grab those things and we'll get started on a fun reading, illustrating adventure. Hedgie Loves to Read by Jan Brett. And I think this was specially made for Scholastic with this cute character. Now you can see if a hedgehog has little bags carrying books, that's definitely a fiction read. Although he's so detailed, he does look like a real hedgehog. That's what I really love about Jan's illustrations too. They're so realistic, but yet she dives us into the world of fiction. Here's the start of the story. It looks like a snowy place. You know, Jan loved to do stories in snowy places. And of course, this hedgehog is underground, hibernating, living underground. It was a cold, sunny day. Have you ever been stepping outside and the sun's shining and you get out there and the air is so crisp? That's what kind of day it is. The perfect day to crawl up with a good book, Hedgie thought. So he's in a little burrow. Those cute little details. Looks like a little cute bed down there. Looks like maybe even that might be a little fireplace. What do you think? How cute. A little ladder. Hedgie's going down into the burrow in his little Hedgie style ladder. On his Hedgie style ladder. But which book should I read? Hedgie tried to decide while he warmed himself by the fire. Of course, Hedgie has to have a cozy fire to read. You know, sometimes that's my problem with books. I have so many wonderful selections in my library on my phone. I can't sometimes decide which one I'm going to read. Do you ever have that problem? There's so many good books in so little time. You know, on a cold winter day, it's always nice to cuddle up with a good book. He thought about which book to read as he washed his dishes and cleaned his room. Finally, he chose his favorite one. Well, we know that Hedgie, the character, is definitely a nice and tidy character. And, you know, I'm like Hedgie a lot too. Sometimes when I'm doing other things, I'm thinking about which book I'm going to choose next because it is something to think about. Let's see what he chooses. A perfect book for a perfect day, Hedgie thought. He read all day long. And it looks like maybe that's a horse or some kind of an animal. So tiny. Let's see if it's on the front cover. Oh, it looks like maybe an otter of some kind. It's on the cover here. Anyway, it's his favorite book. And that's a matter of choice, right? As he drifted off to sleep, Hedgie dreamed about all the wonderful things he had read in his favorite book. And I love to do that too. I don't know if you're like me, but I love to, when I get in bed at night, get the covers up, snuggle, and I love to read at night too, when it's quiet and peaceful. And something fun you can do is put a stack of books by your bed, have a little night light or a little flashlight, or cuddle up in a cozy tent with a sleeping bag, even in your room, and get your favorite stack of books. Or better yet, invite a parent to snuggle in your bed with you and read you a good book right before you go to sleep so you can have nice, fun, imaginative dreams. And maybe you too will dream up a good book one day as an author. Oh, that was fun. Short and sweet. Hedgie loves to read, and I know you do too. Now, I was thinking about this Jan Brett drawing strategy. So I said, well, it's always good to try it out before you actually, present it. And so I started doing the step-by-step. And as I was doing it, it seemed more complicated. And so then, plan B, you might try something. Jan is so talented, like for her to just sketch is so easy. But for us amateur, that means we're not professional drawers and illustrators. We have to kind of adapt a drawing strategy of our own. So I thought, just doing one and adding the details as I sort of thought through it. I was thoughtful like Hedgie in the book. What book should I read? And then I made a drawing plan just to do it on one page. So her step-by-step says, number one, draw an egg shape lightly with a pencil. You're definitely going to need a pencil because you're going to have a little erasing to do possibly, and or some smudging to do with your pencil. So pencil's great. You can outline in black. I've seen a lot of artists do that when I've been watching. The egg shape is good. However, I realized that when you're drawing Hedgie's face, it's going to end up being a little more rounder in the back, less egg shape in the front. So I actually started with step 2 instead of doing step 1. So go ahead and get your things ready. I love drawing on a clipboard, and I grabbed several pencils because one might have a good eraser and one might have a good lead. And so the first step is we're going to do this shape, and I'm going to start at the top of the paper. I'm going to use the whole paper, right? And I'm going to come up here with my pencil, and I am going to start up here and go up and around and then go out just a little point. So this line is more sunk in than this line. Wish me luck. I've only done this a couple times as a practice. So I'm going to kind of draw this way, and then I will show you what I've done. So I'm going to go up and chubby. So I just started here and I went up, and I'm leaving space for more over here as I come around. So this part's got to be more pointed, and it's going to be out just a little. So we're going to have like a sunken place there. And so I'm going to come around. And hey, I've always got my eraser, because this is actually going to be Hedgie's nose. So I'm pointing out. Then I'm going to pull back in, but not with a straight line. I'm going to kind of curve, because she says step number 2, a curved line will make the face, So we're going to kind of curve in, but not super in. My first attempt, I kind of went way in with like a letter C. So I just did just a little slight curve in, and that's the nose. And I loved adding just one step, multi-step directions, but I can do it in one space. And that helps me, definitely. Now the next step that I'm going to do is this line from the top, and it sort of goes like a little curvy, just a smidge. So I'm going to attempt number 3 step, add a line where the prickles will begin. So I'm at the top, I'm going to go to the top right here. And I'm going to bow out just a little bit and then slightly go in. Again, wish me luck. Hey, you've got to practice. It's okay. I've found in life, if you practice and you make a mistake, a pencil really comes in handy. So here I go. I'm going to attempt to go up and out and then sort of squiggle back in. I love it. You can't be afraid to try. That's what I love about illustrating. You can try something, you got your pencil, you can erase it, you can have your do-overs for sure. I even practiced this on the back because I was trying to do this step by step, and I said, this is not working. Now the next little step is we're going to add the simple face, add a nose, a mouth, an ear, an eye, feet, and lots of prickles. So I'm starting sort of with a simple face. The nose is going to be super easy. You're just going to circle, fill in like a circle shape. And I just went with my pencil and darkened. And I think that's easy. And then the eye, and I really did also look at the details on the book as I was adding the eye. She's got, as you know how she did her watercolor paints, and she did her dry brush strokes with watercolors, and she could add in a glisten there because it really looks like his eye is thinking. He's thinking and he's, you know, plotting out. So when I first did the little dot eye, it didn't really look like the Hedgie in the book. So I added some details. I'm even going to sort of oval that because on the drawing, it's kind of round. But on the book, it's more sort of an oval shape. So again, I'm kind of using that book to help me. Now, the ear is going, you can see it goes up and over that line, and that's where I'm going to have to erase just a little bit. I'm going to sort of go in the middle, and it looks like she's got the ears sort of pointed, but on the book, it's rounded. I think I'll do a cross in between, sort of a little point and a little round. Yeah, I like that. I'm okay. Now I'm going to erase. This is where a good eraser comes in. Because that line originally, and a lot of artists do this, they'll draw lightly in. Now, if you get to be an expert, you don't have to so much. And I can still see it, but when I start adding all those details and a little color, it will be fine. And then she's got sort of a little detail in the ear, you know, with the ear on the drawing part. And the mouth will be easy. It's just sort of a little line. And on the book, it's pretty similar. A smile. But a mischievous smile. For sure. And then I noticed around the eye, there's a little bit of shaded hair there, a little darker. And so on that drawing, she does that too. So that's where I'm going to go next. It's sort of a fuzzy hair. So I'm just kind of taking my pencil and I'm doing a little, and she's got sort of a hair around it as a shade, shady. And I love to come in with a, and if you get an actual drawing pencil, you can buy those at the store, that are very, the lead is very, very soft. But you can take your pencil and smudge, and I even do sometimes on the side, and then it gives it a more smudged, not such crisp lines. He's looking cute. Now, when you add the prickles, you know, she started out with just like some little dark lines, and I noticed though that they're all filled in. This part right here that we gave that curved line to is going to be white fur, and it's a little light gray here. Yeah. And then this will be dark prickly. So I think you could just go in with your pencil and you could just go to town with some lines. And I'm sure there's some hair in there. You know, I'm just doing that number. You could thicken them up. That's going to take you a little bit of time to add in the fur, not fur, but prickles. I want to show you one that I finished, that little one that I finished. He is more, now I don't have the colors in there, but he's pretty shaded. He doesn't need a lot of crayon color there. So I just went to town. I started with the dark onesies and twosies of prickles, and I thought, that's going to take forever. So I'm just, you know, went to town and just started filling in, because I don't think, you know, the prickles are just sort of straight lines. So you could just go in with your pencil and fill in with some lines, short lines, long lines, going in different directions, I'd probably shape them more out this way because it looks like, where's little Hedgie? They sort of go here and there. And so that's what's going to probably, and maybe shorter than longer, thicker than thinner. And you could always go back. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could do this with crayon and save a step there. You could take your charcoal crayon. Let me see if I've got one that's similar to dark charcoal. Let me just dump and go here. I mean, you could use your black, you could use your gray. So you could save a step here. Yeah, I like that idea. I like the pencil though. I like kind of doing the pencil first. But the gray seems to be a good filler. So that may take more time. You know, as you're drawing and as you're working on a piece of art, you can, and I'm going to just gray this around here too. You're going to find some things work, some things don't. And that, I think, is great for our minds because you're not going to get it right the first time, more than likely, and that's okay. But it helps us problem solve. It helps us think about, how can I do that in a better way? How can I do that in a different way? And, you know, I would even take maybe not your black marker, but your gray crayon, and then trace these other details and make them a little darker so they pop out. So you're not going to lose those in your fur prickly drawing fill in. You know, these little spaces will stand out. So you could even go up and around his body with that gray crayon. I love that we're discovering that we can adapt the drawing steps to our own skill level, and that it can make life a lot easier as we're drawing. And two, like I said, we're discovering that our art skills can be improved, changed, and we can try something, guess and test. If it doesn't work, that just makes us think of a different strategy. So you just keep going with your prickles and have an adventure with Hedgie. And hey, you may just want to write a story about a hedgehog as you draw your Hedgie and fill your sweet little Hedgie. Oh, I forgot the feet. That was another thing I did differently too. Let me add those in right quick. At first, when I was looking at this little drawing, my art studio is filled with art supplies. I just had to locate this. I thought this first little thing right here was a tail, but it's actually his little feet, because you can see on the very last step that that foot is just lifted up there. So I would go ahead and just, the first step that she's got, they look like little rounded paws, but then she adds the feet detail. I would just go ahead and add those feet detail right on. When I first did this, I did it rounded and then I went back through, but I would just go ahead and add the foot detail right, you know, right away. And that way you don't have to do that extra step of the rounded. You've already got that detail. I'm going to continue working on my Hedgie, fill him in. I'm having a lot of fun. I love that I could work on my sketching and art, solve a problem, and enjoy my artistic skills by creating and developing my own Hedgie piece of artwork. And I know you're having fun too. So remember, Hedgie loves to read. Don't forget to be thoughtful about the books you're choosing. Find a good cozy spot. Maybe you have a fireplace at home, or you can get in your cozy bed and nestle up and read. Always such an adventure to read. And then in the morning, get out your paper pencil and creatively come up with your own cute, cuddly, imaginary, or real characters for your next book. I know some of you out there are going to turn into authors and illustrators, and you got your start by not being afraid to venture out and try new skills. All right, readers, until our next time together, we are going to keep working, keep creating, and I can't wait to see you real soon. We've got some more Jan Brett stories that we need to explore. So I want you to join me on our next reading adventure. We are still working with our sweet Hedgie. This one's a cute one. It's called Hedgie's Surprise. Hedgie is going to help a friend in need from a little sneaky gnome character, sort of a gnome character, almost a little elf character, who's trying to steal some eggs every day. Hedgie's going to be a great friend, and there's going to be a surprise in it. So don't fail to join me for another great Jan Brett story with Hedgie. And as always, keep reading, stay warm, work on those drawing skills, and I'll see you real soon. Hedgie and I will.